3, 2, 1.
We ready right now.
Leave that.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to Blame Your Brother. We are streaming live right now on YouTube every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come join us, youtube.com/blameyourbrother, or go to blameyourbrother.tv. Tonight, we're going to talk about I guess we're still doing Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore of role model athletes. Is that the best way to say it? The athletes that really people looked up to. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. John picks first this week. I would imagine I know who he's picking, but we'll see. You never know. That's the joy of it. If you're not watching,
one of them, but
if you're not watching, he's wearing a Baltimore Orioles shirt, so that should tell you something. I didn't say at the bottom we got the graphic local615.com. If you're looking for some great merchandise, go check those guys out. Local615.com. I'm wearing the Bless Your Heart shirt. They got lots of stuff, so we'll have different kind of ads at the bottom during the show, kind of promote our friends and things like that. And if you want to advertise with us, well, sure. Send us a message. We would love to. We probably won't charge you anything if you want the truth. It'll be free. But no, Local 615, check those guys out. All right. Well, yes, there's two of us that make up Blame Your Brother. I'm one half of this duo. I am David, a.k.a. D-Brew, Glenn Jackson, a spiritual midget, Mr. 40%, Mr. Wonderful, and this gentleman sitting over to my left, it is John.
Everybody here, John here. A.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman.
They do have a madman.
Okay, he's a madman.
All right. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Hopefully tonight there's, some things happening in the world, as always. We got some shows we want to talk about. So we will just jump in and get started. John, is anything happening to you this week? Any stories to share? Did you attempt to burn your house down?
I didn't burn it down.
Okay.
I'm still in the market for a lawnmower, so if anybody has good ideas on what type to get.
A goat. Why don't you just get a bunch of goats? Like, that's what a lot of people do now. I mean, they can't be, your kids will love them. They're pets. They eat the grass. Metro Water literally has a section of land that they own that they let goats, do the landscaping of it. This is apparently a thing throughout the country. It's crazy, but it's just a suggestion, man. I'm sure you could get the goats for next to nothing. Pets, you ever want to, if you run out of food, you could chop them up, eat them. Goats are fascinating animals, man. Especially here in America. I understand in other countries where they're kind of work animals, but here, I don't really know why they're here. I don't understand. I
think they just were here. It's just people moved in.
Yeah, well, when I was a little kid, I always remember the image of, it's funny when you look back at your life, you just remember weird moments. I remember my grandmother's sister had a pet monkey. It was a small monkey, and it was behind a fence, and they said it was a mean monkey. And it just stood out as a kid, you're seeing somebody have a pet monkey is a wild thing. Yeah. Somebody, I guess maybe my grandfather, somebody had a bunch of goats, and they said, these things will eat anything. I'm 8, 9 years old. So I'm like, oh, really? They go, yeah, watch this. They cut up an aluminum can and fed it to the goat. And I'm like, number one, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we feeding these goats aluminum cans? I don't understand it. It's very bizarre. But that's what people do. I guess what people used to do, we could write a book, just this is what people used to do to our kids, and they would not believe half. Even the idea of smoking inside a restaurant is a wild concept to kids born today. They don't understand that. They're like, you used to do what? Yeah. No, you would go into a restaurant. There were whole sections of it where you would just smoke.
Yeah.
We would, me and John.
Yeah.
Now, we'll say you always got better service in the smoking section. That's a fact, Jack. But, there's just a lot of weird things as we move forward that people are not gonna remember one day. I always, fun as it. So from the chat, we got a couple people in. We got artists saying hello. Daniel said, I tried to get some goats. Turns out they are legal in my city. Ayy. And Lynn's in chat said, I love goats. So there you go. Goats, man. Everyone loves goats. The goats. Billy Goats. All right. Well, okay. So what's going on with me this week? Not a lot. So that's good. So we can. I mean, as you get older, that's good. You're like, I have nothing to report.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's get into it then. We love pop culture. We love TV shows. And we're going to talk about 2 shows that have lawyers in them. Let's start with the simple one first. Let's talk about She-Hulk. Now, episode 2 dropped today. And if you don't know, She-Hulk is a new series on Disney. All right. Let's just get into it. She-Hulk. Episode 1 was an intro story. It was really fast-paced. It had a lot of the Hulk in it. We go to episode 2, less Hulk, more story. What did you think of it, John?
I thought it was pretty good. She is coming across as a very, very quirky character. And so if you like that, then you're going to love the show.
I love her.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally, I love the actress, but I literally love Jennifer Walters. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. I mean, this is my favorite character. This is my favorite female character. Like, if I was in the Marvel universe and I was a superhero, I would have a crush on her more so than any of them. There's something about her. This actress is the bomb. I will say that number one. We were talking about this before. I don't know that she's been in anything I've ever seen. You said the biggest thing she was on was something called Black Orphan or something.
Orphan.
I don't even know what that is. You said it's on AMC. I don't. What is this show? I'm gonna go watch this now? Yeah, probably so. If she's as great as on that show, because like I love Carrie Coons, right? Who was in Leftovers. I fell in love with her, so I've watched everything she's in. So I guess I'm gonna go on deep dive on this actress playing She-Hulk. So I would say episode 2 was definitely about her story. She was a lawyer. She got fired from the district attorney's office, so she had to find new employment. And it just kind of follows, like, I tell you that, and you're like, okay, and that's all that happens. Like, yeah, you meet her family, which was hilarious. You meet her new work, and then you get to see Tim Roth is in the episode. That's all I'm going to say. Who, if you don't know, he played the Abomination in the first Hulk movie with Ed Norton. And there's a great line in the show.
Yeah.
I love it. It's one of my favorite lines of the entire episode, where Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo, is talking to her on the phone, and she's like,
"Yeah, I was a different person then."
Yeah,
literally.
That was a long time ago. I was a different person because Ed Norton originally played. Wow, what? That's even hard to explain to people. Ed Norton, if he'd have just played his cards right, man, he'd be still in the franchise. But anyway, okay. So I thought it was great. Not a lot of action, but the storytelling. I just think the show is hilarious. I think it, like you said last week, you said it's not like side-splitting funny, but I am genuinely just amused at every scene. I think the interaction with her family was great.
It's like real life funny.
Yes. Like, so I am just so I'm thinking of the word. My head almost explodes because I thought I was going to hate this show. I literally was like, this show looks so stupid from the trailer. I could not have been more wrong. It's amazing. I can't think of another show where I was like, I'm sure there's a few. I can't think of them right now, but literally this is one that stands out the most where I'm like, I will never watch that. I think it's stupid. And I'm like, this is one of my favorite shows. So, now it's going to be interesting to kind of see where they go with it. I'm wondering who the big bad's going to be, because, you would say it's going to be Abomination, but I don't think so. I think there's going to be more to it, but I don't know. It's also what I like about it is I don't know where it's going. You watch Captain America Winter Soldier, and you know where it's going.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be action heavy.
It's going to be action heavy. The dude's going to be Captain America. Falcon's going to turn to Captain America. I mean, you know these things. You watch Hawkeye, you know where it's going for the most part. This one, I don't know. There's no telling, So fantastic. I love it. Highly recommend it if you're not watching it. Now, that's a light fare lawyer show. Better Call Saul ended. John, you said you've caught up.
I've caught up.
Better Call Saul. What did you think, without giving too much away, what did you think of the last few episodes in the season finale? Did it stick the landing? Let's start with that for you. Did it stick the landing?
It depends on what your landing is.
Well, yours.
Mine,
Wow. I think I'm getting a low here.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but there's one big difference between me and you.
Okay.
And I'm like of the masses, and I like the storybook ending, and you are more with the what's really going to happen ending.
Right. Yeah.
And so this was more of a what's really going to happen ending.
Oh yeah.
And so
Definitely.
on that aspect, I would have liked things to turn out a little differently for some of the characters.
I would
but
love. I would love to discuss this in deep detail with you, and we will once the show ends. But I don't think you could.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'm not disappointed in any way, shape, or form.
Because I like that they wrapped up enough that they needed to wrap up. I mean, we know the story of Fring, right? We already know that. You watch Breaking Bad. You know what's going to happen to him. You know what's going to happen to Mike. So to me, in that interest, you already know two of the characters.
And with El Camino, you know what happens to Jesse.
Right. So you know Jesse probably comes out the best of everyone, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not giving away. I don't know that Saul came out that bad, truthfully. I think with the things he did and the outcome he got, I think he found a peace with that. I mean, well, yeah, obviously.
He definitely found a peace with that.
I mean,
he literally caused those things to come to pass.
Yes.
On purpose, knowing that would,
right.
He pretty much knew what he was going to get by his actions
Right.
in those last few episodes.
Right. I love that at the end it went primarily black and white. I love that. So what did you think about the series? Where do you think this series as a whole ranks like all time? Is it top 5 of all time for you? I mean, because
here's the thing: is I can't separate it from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's hard to separate it from it. So and with
So
the
it could be
source
like a-
material, oh my gosh,
yeah.
it would be top 5.
Man, you know what's crazy?
It might be better than Breaking Bad, but
I think it is.
if you took Breaking Bad away, then it's not.
Right, that's true. So if you were doing a list,
So
like if I was saying my number 1 show of all time is The Wire, okay? I just put that there. I'd have to go back. Right now it is. But number 2, you could say 2A, 2B would be Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, right? I mean, I feel like, I think that's fair to put those on the same level.
they're almost the same show.
Yeah,
It's
they
just
are.
a different.
I just like the flavor of Saul. Like I said, I identify more with Saul. I liked the cleverness of his scams, never knowing. The thing with this one, you never knew what was happening. Like they would start the beginning of the show would just start off on, you're like, what is happening? Like, I don't even understand what's happening. His schemes, you wouldn't understand. Like, what is he doing? You're kind of figuring it out. And just their ability to make all of this stuff work in another universe where this wasn't even written yet, fit it into that universe. Plus, it has to maintain its own world. It's crazy. It is amazing. With nothing happened where you're like, no, that really didn't. You're like, no, all this stuff seemed to fit perfectly. Is Vince Gilligan one of the brightest writers of all time? I mean, I'd have to say.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I came at Odenkirk, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. To say that someone from his background would be an iconic figure in a drama series.
And then what I love even better, after this or during this, he films a movie where he's essentially John Wick.
Yeah.
And it works. Unbelievable. This is crazy to me. Bob Odenkirk. If he doesn't win, if him and Kim, whoever the actress that plays her,
Rhea Seehorn,
if they don't win awards for this show, burn them. Burn every award show to the ground. If they don't walk out of this last season winning Emmy Awards or whatever, Golden Globes or whatever it would be, burn them. Burn the awards shows.
that's another thing. Is where did she come from?
I don't know. Just that's always amazing too when you
That's
just
another character, another actress. I was like,
like Carrie Coon. When you see her in Leftovers, I literally was like, who is this woman?
yeah.
How
that's
have
where
I
was
never
too.
seen this woman? Kim, Rhea Seehorn. Who is this person? I said the same thing about She-Hulk. Where are they getting these actors? These actors aren't like 18, dude. These are like people in their 30s and 40s.
Yeah, and amazing.
Yeah, really good. So I'm looking forward to seeing her in more because I haven't seen her in anything else besides this.
Yeah.
Can you name anything else she's in?
No, I couldn't.
That's crazy. This woman's like, I don't know, man. She was fantastic. Definitely moral center, but Mike was great. I mean, man, I just can't recommend if you watch Breaking Bad and you're not watching this, I really don't know who you are and what's wrong with you. But if maybe they love Breaking Bad so much they go, I don't want to jump. You have to watch this. If you've never watched Breaking Bad, like I remember Lee's like, nah, I just couldn't watch, man. It was too that's crazy.
Well, I mean, I didn't watch it for a long time until I was held up because of the storm.
Well, yeah, and people kept, like, I watched The Sopranos years after it came out just because I was like, Watch Breaking Bad. Watch Better Call Saul. I'm telling you, man, it's, to me.
Especially now that you can just watch it,
Yeah.
and you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm calling number 2 best show of all time. Like I say, 2A, 2B, without a doubt. I mean, there's nothing else that compares to it. I would say Leftovers is probably my number 3.
Well, any type of show or drama show?
Well, I would say drama, not comedy.
Okay.
Drama. We're saying Wire. I'm saying Breaking Bad. I'm saying Leftovers are my top 3. I can't talk enough about Leftovers. So much I'm probably just going to go rewatch that at some point.
It was a great show.
I mean, I loved it was just the most fascinating show. And now there's a show on Hulu, and I'm going to highly recommend this show. It's called The Bear. Now, the lead actor was in a show called Shameless, but he's really been in nothing else. And it's a story of a guy who is a cook. He takes over his brother's restaurant after his brother dies, and you kind of find out more on that situation. This show, I think it's like 6 episodes, maybe 6 to 8. It is amazing. If you've ever worked in a kitchen, if you love the kitchen, if you love the idea, I've always had this romantic idea of the kitchen, of chefs. Like, I've always wanted to be one. I never had the training and whatever. But I love being, when I worked at Cracker Barrel, I know that's like small scale, but I love being in the kitchen. I love it. I love the environment of it, everything. This show captures all of that perfectly. It also deals with substance abuse, just grief. There is one scene. John Bernthal makes a cameo appearance. Now, John Bernthal was in Punisher, Walking Dead, other shows, but he's in this series for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, man. I will say this. It is the best 5 minutes I've ever seen acting in a long time, man. I mean, if you watch it, I would, anyone that's watched it, please get in touch with me. I want to discuss this. It was such, I mean, this scene, you ever watched something, man, like, honestly, like, I don't know if anything comes to mind, but it's so good, you're just like, I can't believe I'm watching this right now. Like, I think of Leo, like in a lot of his movies. Like, Django Unchained. The scene, the scene where, him and they all interact in
the dinner scene.
Yes, the dinner scene. I mean, you watch it the first time, you go, this is some of the greatest shit I've ever watched in my life, dude. I mean, The Bear, John Bernthal did that for me. So if you're looking for something to watch, I definitely recommend get Hulu, however you need to do it. The Bear, and then Only Murders in the Building. I mean, but yeah, if you haven't watched Better Call Saul, please do it. You'll think of something.
Yeah.
So that's everything I've been watching. Are you watching anything else that stands out? Or
well, I mean, I just finished Better Call Saul, and so yeah, I'm in the market right now. I need to catch up. I've only seen the first season of Mandalorian, so I need to watch the second season, and also Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you'll like those, man. Those are good.
Yeah.
Boba Fett was really good. I mean, they're just killing it, man. All these people are. What a time. What a time for television. There's just so much out there, and it's good.
Yeah.
And I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about, think about Marvel. There are people that watch those Marvel movies that have never, ever read a comic book, John. Never. They've never cracked open a comic book, and they've watched every Marvel movie, and they love it. That's crazy to even think about for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. Like, I can't even equate that to anything. So, all right. Well, yes, definitely good watching there. So definitely watch those out. Okay. Well, let's talk about some stories in the news this week. All right. The first big story comes to us for Joe Biden. Mr. President Biden today announced that there was going to be some student debt forgiveness issued. So it would range from $10,000 to $20,000. $10,000 if you got just a federal loan, and then $20,000 for a Pell Grant. Now, I never got these loans, so I had to kind of look into them. Do you know what a Pell Grant is? Or
it's for lower income families paying
Right.
for school.
Okay. So it came out, he's going to give, $10,000 debt, $20,000, they're going to wipe it off your plate. All right. And this has been talked about for a long time. It was talked about before inflation happened. It was one of the things. I mean, a lot of people are saying, Joe, you didn't do enough. You should have wiped out all the debt. So I'm going to come to this first, John. What are your thoughts on student debt forgiveness?
It's almost wish it could have been done like retroactively.
I feel you.
You know, I mean,
For sure. Yeah. if
why are these debts so high in the first place? Why does it cost so much money to go to college?
Good point, man.
That's the problem.
And critics have said that they're trying to address some of it, but they're not addressing the cost of college. But that's a good point. I never really thought about it. But yes, why is college putting people in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt? That's even referenced on She-Hulk this week, which was kind of crazy. You know, so much AEW, the wrestling show. These two guys come out and they rapped a line about Joe Biden erasing student debt, and the crowd like popped like crazy. So that's a good point. Now, what I've noticed, and I like to keep an eye on the Republicans. That's kind of like my job these days. And I've noticed on Facebook and people I personally know, and then other people as well, Republicans are very upset about this. They do not understand why this is being done. Now, it also is only for people that make under $125,000 a year, okay? And they're very upset, and you got prominent Republicans on TV going, this isn't right. And here's what I love about the Republicans. Now, I'm sure Democrats so, but more so to me lately with the Republicans. They will say something and then not realize they've done the exact same thing, but it's just something else. So Marjorie Taylor Greene gets on some whatever show, the freaking OAN, the Mike Lindell, the pillow guy's got his own like show or network. I don't know what's going on. It's called Lindell TV. Anyway, she gets on there and she's like, I just don't understand how the government bails these people out. It's not right. Cut to, do you remember when the government was giving all those PPP loans during the start of COVID? Basically, they were giving it to businesses and a lot. Well, there were a bunch of Republicans that got these loans. And do you know what happened? The government did not make them pay any of it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's was $180,000 that was written off. She's on TV looking into the camera going, this isn't right. These people are freeloaders. I'm like, dude, this is you. John, I just don't understand. Look,
even worse off because, that's 10 times what he offered.
Look, if we're going to help, like I'm with you, especially look at the Pell Grants. These are people that are never going to pay these loans back. They're not going to be able to. They are poor to, like you said, poor at best middle class. At best lower middle class, right?
I don't think middle class can.
Okay, so
I don't think they qualify.
So just poor. Like you got to be poor. Okay, I was trying to be optimistic here. These are people that need a break, man.
And also with the Pell Grant, as far as I understand it, you can't qualify for any other discounts.
Okay. So yeah.
So if you're getting like an in-state discount,
okay, so you don't
Pell
get
Grant,
that.
no.
Okay.
And
these are people that need help, dude. I mean, this is what this country is supposed to be about, right? Like, look, I'm with you. We really need to address rising costs in a number of things. The healthcare, college, houses. I mean, but we're not doing that. No one addresses, like, you know why both husband and wife have to go to work now? Like, this is the big thing I'm starting. People are like, we need to go back to the 50s. I'm like, no, we don't. I mean, there's a number of bad things about that, but it has nothing to do with one guy making that much money. Housing has increased every year so much that if you applied it back to the 50s, both people would have to go work. Like, the growth is out of this control. Where is all this money going? Who's getting all this money? This is what the rich is at. Capitalism works for the rich. Like, people are just going to have to realize that one day. What amount of suffering do we expect people to do to maintain the system we're in? That's where I'm at today. That's what I'm wondering. Because like the people on Facebook are like, oh, this isn't fair. My children went to college and I wish I could have paid off. I'm like, but you didn't have to. You could afford it, dude. Everyone is just so, and then in the irony of the Christians being upset with debt forgiveness.
That's like, what your religion is based on.
That's the entire cornerstone of it. But I hope it helps people out. Now, critics have said, it does not really help a lot of people a lot. I mean, if you got $50,000 in debt and they're taking 10 off, I mean, it is good. I'm sure you appreciate everything, but you're still $40,000 in debt, which you'll be paying for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I'm with you, John. I just don't understand why college is so much.
Well, the thing is the colleges that you need these things for,
right,
are banking on their athletics departments probably alone.
That's true. I mean, you look at Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, these are
Powerhouses.
billion-dollar industries, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying their coaches. Their coaches are millionaires. Okay, a coach is a millionaire. And I always say, and like I've gotten in this conversation with people before. So if someone wants to be an artist, okay, or they want to be a chef, and they want to go to college, people go, well, why are they going to college? Why are they learning art? I mean, so you want to live in a world where no art is taught to anyone? Okay. So no entertainment's done? Is there no school? There's no more art? Like, not every actor is Leo, right? Some of these people go to acting school.
I mean, and he still has coaches today.
Right. But this is the ongoing education. Art is important for the society.
Yeah.
Like creating content for people to digest, whether it's podcasts or movies or books or whatever, or art or
And this is from the dawn of it. I mean,
yes.
The earliest writings we have are hieroglyphics.
Yes, right?
And this was not just used as art, but as communication.
Yes.
To tell history, to teach.
It's crazy to me. I mean, you look at Michelangelo, Sistine Chapel. Look at this, man. I mean, we've always loved art. Like you can go back to Roman time. You can go back to the. I don't know, man. I'm just a simple dude, right? I don't know. I'm not an economic major. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I am. I'm not gonna tell you. I mean, yeah, I'm sure people come over here and go, well, it's not good because it's got to be, but you know. It's like, I'm like, well, then we just need to adjust how we're doing things. But I don't think the average person needs to suffer for the rest of their life because they tried to educate themselves. I think that's insane. I think that, I mean, you're dumbing down society. We are.
I mean, if education is free up until you're the age of 18, why does it have to stop being free?
Why? So I would say this, and I think you're getting into the voucher system and things like that. Or in Britain or England, you have healthcare that's free, and then they have premium healthcare. And whatever. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but I understand the point of it. But I would say to you, these things need to be available to the majority of people. I mean, I definitely think health insurance needs to be available to more people, all people, but education as well. I mean, if you want to live in society where we want people educated, there should be community colleges that should be public, should be free. I don't understand how we're not doing that. Hey, is it going to be a Harvard degree? No. But is it going to get you the skills to get the next job you want? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know. It's wild. Anyway, so that was a big thing with Joe. Now, in Tennessee today, abortion is illegal across the board, no matter what. It went into effect today. Doesn't matter if you're a victim of rape, you're a victim of incest, your wife's about to die. Sorry, Charlie. There is a line written in there about doctors can determine if it's an emergency situation. Every analyst has looked at that and said, no doctor is going to do it because they'll be sued into the ground. Like if the state looks at it and goes, nah, I don't think so, dude. You're facing criminal charges. You're facing civil charges. And I mean,
well, the thing is, and the chances that early on in the pregnancy that's the case,
right,
is almost 0 to nil.
Yeah. Because, so this is the heartbeat bill, which says after 6 weeks, no abortions are allowed. Now, a lot of women, like we say, a lot of women don't even find out they're pregnant until 8 weeks in, John, I can't, I don't understand this. I don't know how we live in a state. Now, look, if we're going to sit here, me and John talked to us before. I understand if people are upset that people are using this as a birth control method. I understand the outrage. I do. Like if you're saying, I'm not going to use contraception, I'm not going to use condoms, I'm not going to use this, I'm just going to get an abortion. I think, and I don't know this, but I think that's a very small percentage of people doing it, right? I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. Let's say it's 30%, okay? Let's say, I mean, I don't know. Like I say, you just have to start making stuff up.
I think, well, I mean, if you're saying there's people out there that are like, I'll just do whatever I want, and if that's the case, I'll just get an abortion.
Yeah.
That percentage is probably way lower.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
It's probably less than 10.
Okay. Now, mistakes happen, and people say, I'm not ready for this.
That's what I think is probably the majority.
But I would say, look, if you're not prepared to have a child, and you having that child's going to introduce that child into an environment that's bad for them, I mean, that you're starting to get into a philosophy debate. Is that right? I mean, at that point, you're debating philosophy.
At what point are the morning after pills going to be?
Oh, I think they're done.
I mean, are they still legal?
No, I think they're done. I don't think you can have them in this state. I mean, I'd have to look that up, but I don't think they're legal to send here. There's certain states that you can't even send those pills anymore. In the mail, it's a felony. I believe. Now, I'd have to look into that, but I think I've heard that. But John, let's talk about honestly, man. Let's talk about, because I think whenever you talk about a law, you have to look at what are some crazy things that could happen. Okay. Now,
well, I mean, almost every law has a loophole.
Right.
Even murder. Right. If someone breaks into your house and you kill them.
Right.
Yeah.
You basically won't be charged. Self-defense. If a woman, now I want everyone to think about your daughter, your sister, your mother, your wife, your aunt, whoever, your friend, whoever it is. Imagine they are sexually assaulted, which happens.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't rape happens every day.
Yeah.
Just happened somewhere, right? You're telling me that these lawmakers of Tennessee, Bill Lee at the front of it, Bill Lee is the front of the movement, are not going to allow that woman to terminate that pregnancy. They're going to make that woman carry that child. When that child is born, guess who has parental rights?
Either her or the rapist.
The rapist. Yeah, right? I just can't. I cannot. I can't even comprehend that. I don't know how a bunch of dudes got together and said, yeah, that's good, man. I'm just so confused by this. Incest, bro. Incest. If a dad sexually assaults a daughter and she gets pregnant, they're saying, man, just carry it, man. It's all good. It's all good, man. That's God's will. We got to get into this. Look.
I mean, that makes you question some of those, some of the lawmakers.
Well, no, it does.
Who do you know?
I mean, it's true, right? I mean,
that makes you wonder. It was like, why would you put that? Why
Right.
would you allow that aspect of it? Unless there's somebody you know
Right.
that might protect.
I'm sure. The best example was not of that, but of this pro-life. These guys are so pro-life, you know. Scott DeLarge is a representative in Tennessee, active representative. And he was like, I'm pro-life. You know, I never support abortion. And it turns out he had a mistress who had like 2 abortions from him. I'm like, bro, come on. I mean, come on. And I would say, and I've said it before, if abortion's outlawed, then why is Viagra allowed to be sold? I mean, if we're saying this is all God's will, if that's the thing we're saying, it's God's will, then why is medicine for men? Why can we issue that? It's born as it lays on the ground, right? Man, look, I'm not a woman, obviously, but the amount of...
Thanks for that clarification.
I know, well, you never know. I mean, it's 2022.
I mean, yeah,
my pronouns are he and him. I will say this. The outrage I have, I can't even imagine the women. But then I can't imagine the women support this. It's like just a big mess of everything. And so I think Bill Lee is one of the worst governors we've ever had. I think this man is on a campaign. He has, in his term, he has made it illegal for gay parents to adopt. He has made it a crime to be homeless. It is felony. It is a felony. Now, I said felony with an F to camp outside. He has attacked the public school system, supported a man who called school teachers dumb, wants to go to a private education system. He has done this law against women. Let's not even get into the racist stuff that's out there, the racial motivated programs. Who the hell's supporting this guy, bro? What I mean, is this? I'm a Christian white male. It's all good, baby.
Let's test the integrity of the Republicans across the board.
Oh, please.
Here's what we do.
Yeah.
All right. For every cent they save.
Yeah.
By canceling these things to make them more privatized.
Right.
Then that means they don't need to make as much money.
That's true. Cut the.
You know.
Yeah.
Cut their paychecks first.
Oh, they would. I would love to see that.
Let's see how that goes.
You know what would happen if you walked into the chambers, John, and you presented that? They would lead you out cuffed, brother.
Yes, they would.
You would be let out.
But I mean, the thing is, it wouldn't just be the Republicans.
No, all of it. Like,
all of them. You know what? This is where we come together.
This guy.
This guy.
Now, real quick, the big story. So that's huge. Obviously, nothing's going to beat that story. But Representative Glenn Cassida, who was a representative out my way in Williamson County, was arrested Tuesday, I believe, for bribery, money laundering, using kickback programs, him and his aide, and they were Republicans that everyone knew was crooked. This dude was so crooked, John, he's being investigated and still ran for county commissioner where I lived at. And I went, dude, the balls on these people. It's crazy. Like, dude, you're literally being investigated right now. The indictment is about to drop, and you're like, I'm just going to run. I don't know. It's crazy. So, yeah, that's Tennessee, baby. So, welcome everybody to Tennessee. All right. Well, I've got really nothing else on the agenda than that. So, let's just jump into the Mount Rushmore and kind of see where we get. Oh,
talking about the balls on people. I mean, that's quite a good leeway.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you think of people who are constantly in the public eye.
Right.
And think their stuff doesn't stink, and think they shouldn't be held accountable, but yet, I mean, a lot of people think that you should be held even more accountable.
Right, talking about athletes.
Yes.
So this kind of came, the genesis of this came that Deshaun Watson, who's the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, I believe. He was Houston Texans quarterback. This man has been accused of sexual assault over 20 women. I don't even know what the number is. I almost thought it was 30, which seems crazy, but I'm like, I think it is 30. So all these women came out and said he was very inappropriate during massages. They're all like massage therapists. I mean, if you have 30 different massage therapists, I don't know. That's probably
you're the problem.
There's probably there's probably a problem there as well. But anyways, he was on the Texans. The Texans said, "We're done with you, bro. Like, look, we're trading you, or you're not playing." Cleveland Browns, you have a lot of explaining to do here. They said, "We'll take the guy." And so the NFL said, "Hold on a minute. This guy just lost in civil court to some of these women. He's admitting guilt, civilly. So we're going to suspend him for so many games." And then he appealed it, and then he agreed to 11 games. Now, he suspended 11 games for assault of multiple women. There was another player last year that was caught gambling during the season, not on himself. He was suspended for the entire year. Unbelievable. But yes, these athletes, and we've had many of them here in Tennessee. If you live here in Tennessee, you're listening. We had Steve McNair arrested for DUI and then murdered, in a crazy story.
Pac-Man Jones,
Blaine Bishop, Keith Bullock. I mean, you could go down the list. A lot of these dudes have been arrested for DUIs and things of that nature. So, yes. And I love Steve McNair. Let me clarify that.
And Keith Bullock has done a lot for the community.
I love Keith Bullock. And so I think everyone's afforded some mistakes. We're a country that does offer second chances for sure, right? I mean, no one's going to sit here and act like we don't. I mean, that would be silly. But today we're looking at who are the ones that stood out. Who are the good guys? And look, I know you're all thinking, oh, he's going to put Tom Brady on his list. I'm not. Tom Brady is not making my list today. I'm looking at people. This is how I looked at it. So we're doing athlete role models. I'm looking at people that changed the culture and were representatives to a large group of people that they motivated and inspired, is how I looked at it. However that was, whether it was their work ethic on the field, whether it was charities outside, whether it was they were trailblazers in the industry, what not, is how I looked at it. Now, what was kind of your criteria?
I mean, the biggest thing is to be a role model. First of all, somebody's got to look up to you. So you got to be good at your craft. No one's gonna be running around with posters saying B.J. Armstrong is their favorite bull.
Right. Maybe. Maybe a few. He's cool.
But and so I mean you've got to be somebody who is a leader in the industry. But I mean there's a laundry list of things that you shouldn't be doing. But when you break them down one by one,
right,
you're thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. It's easy not to do that.
Right.
So don't do those things.
But I'll come to this. I think we as people look at things from our own perspective a lot of the time, right? And I think we rarely, it's tough. You're living your life. I think it's tough if you've never been a professional athlete at the top of the game and you don't even know what's going on. I think it's tough to say like with Steve Mann, like, oh, why'd you get a DUI? And it's like, I think a lot of the time these dudes are burnt out from the fame. And sometimes burnout leads to self-destructive methods. almost where you can say, "Get me off this train."
Well,
you know?
also you think of it, especially athletes, when it comes to things like DUI, when they so rely on their bodies and they think they have a certain level of control of their bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of the general population had one or two drinks and just gotten right behind the wheel and made it home safe?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, yeah. I mean, luckily I didn't. Yeah.
And so they may have been under the assumption that, and the thing is, if you're driving a certain type of car,
You're probably gonna get pulled off,
you're gonna get pulled over.
like an expensive car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a certain. Now I'm not talking about your random DUI or something like that. I mean, I'm mainly focusing on your, like, don't have a dogfighting ring.
That's true. I mean,
Now don't
yeah.
bring firearms
That's
into a
true.
strip club.
Right.
You
That's
know.
true. And look, I could. Michael Vick's a weird story, and a lot of that also is culture. I mean, once again, I think if you're enriched in a culture that's brought up dogfighting, and you are insulated and you're not around other people, I think sometimes you don't realize, like, I think a lot of these guys don't realize what they're doing is necessarily wrong because no one's. I think it's like the Elvis effect. There's no one. There's all yes men around them, right? There's not a dude going, "Hey man, stop."
That's probably not a good idea.
You can't have dogfighting, dude. It's all like, "Oh yeah, Michael, yeah, bro, it's cool." And dogfighting was a culture in the community. That does not make it right. It makes it 100% wrong no matter what. But, and, Michael Vick, oddly enough, in some weird way, did more to help the cause that he was doing than probably what he did, by making awareness. But, yeah, no, he's definitely not a role model. I mean, I would agree with you, So, yeah, so I looked at, just who was outstanding in the field. All right, John, so luckily for you, you get to go first
I get to
this
go
week.
first.
So I'm assuming who I know, but I've been wrong before. So, John, who is your number one on the Mount Rushmore of role model athletes?
My number one is synonymous with his sport. You cannot think of this sport without thinking of this person. He is, referred to as the great one, and I'm going with Wayne Gretzky.
Wow, I didn't have him on my list, bro. That's crazy.
Never. I don't think there's ever been a negative story about him.
I could grab your guy. This is crazy.
I mean, I hope you don't, but I'm sure there's plenty others.
Now, I will say, I texted you earlier. I said, "Are all yours living?" Some of mine are passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also with going along with that, I mean, that's another thing is you've got some of these guys that lived back in the day. Your Hank Aaron's and your people like that,
right,
where they didn't have social media. You didn't have access to them like we do now.
Right.
Where a lot of this stuff, I mean, if Magic Johnson hadn't said he had an affair and didn't get AIDS, we'd have never known he had an affair.
No, we wouldn't have. No way.
And I mean, when you look at the guy and his beaming smile and the way he carried himself, you thought he was probably perfect.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that was the biggest shock. I remember watching that going, what?
Yeah.
That's
what I was thinking. Anybody else would be more believable than this guy.
Okay, so Wayne Gretzky, he's just great.
He's just
Are you just picking the GOATs, or like what has he done? What has he done for the world? Has he done anything for the world?
I mean, I don't know what he's done for the world.
Oh, well, this is gonna be radically different then.
But as far as like, I mean.
But a role, my kids.
A lot of people on my list. When you're playing that sport,
yeah.
When you're a kid, you're like, oh, I'm this guy. When you start playing,
right.
And so, that's what my list
is
kind of going with.
I feel you. It's fine. Okay.
Is being able to say that, and then, as far as we know, when you look at the way they carry themselves and in their day-to-day lives, that's somebody that. Legit person.
I mean, Wayne Gretzky is obvious. Like you said, you've never heard a bad thing about him. And a lot of people look up to him, obviously. I mean, entire generations of hockey. So I'll give it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to let me go with a modern player. A guy I think of, this is a modern NFL player. I'm going with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson. Now, the thing that stands out for Russell Wilson is, number one, he's a clean guy. like you say, nothing bad's come out of him. He's very inspirational. But the thing that really cements me for this, and you can go look, and this is what I love, because these dudes don't have to make the time to do this, but Russell Wilson, every week, if you look, you'll find something. He visits sick kids every week. He goes to kids' hospital, kids with cancer. He takes the time. He sits with them. He hangs out with them. He gives them jerseys, footballs. He's a constant dude in that. And those, man, I mean, that to me speaks volumes to an athlete who don't have to do squat. I mean, like you pick, I don't know, Tom Brady's going around visiting sick kids. I've never seen it. I mean, unless he's doing it undercover, and you tell me no one's ever leaked it. But Russell Wilson, to me, I've always said he seems like a good guy. I've watched his entire career. He plays great. I mean, you know, he's always stand up after games, win or loss. But the fact that, you know, and now he's in Denver. He was obviously, Seattle loved him. But, you know, players leave and players go places. Like even Wayne Gretzky left where he was at and went to L.A. But, yeah, Russell Wilson's one I've always – my kid, my son ended up liking the Seahawks, and he ended up wearing Russell Wilson jersey. I was like, that's good. I like that. I can be down with that. That's cool. And I think he's a great role model, you know, for any black kid playing sports today going, hey, man, I want to be a quarterback. I think all the black quarterbacks who've lived good life, not Deshaun Watson, but the ones that have lived good, I think they're great role models to kids, where this was a sport where you used to go, well, if you're white, you're quarterback. If you're black, you're running back. And these guys, like, have just changed it. But, man, visiting sick kids always gets me. So, Russell Wilson's my number one. All right, John, you're number two.
My number two.
Grab it while you can.
Growing up, I didn't know a lot about football, but there is one name that popped up all the time.
Who's that?
And this man, he came from a religious school, so maybe that helps, maybe that doesn't.
Shaw's just picking the greats. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going with Joe Montana.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to Joe Montana?
I mean, again, he kept his nose clean. He dabbled in other media. He was on Saturday Night Live. He hosted one episode of that. It was funny. But again, I mean, he did jump ship once to Kansas City. But for the most part, I mean, he just – no one really had anything negative to say about him. Even when Steve Young was his underling, and he had nothing. He said he really showed him the ropes, and so.
Yeah, no, I mean I love Joe. I mean I love Joe Montana growing up. He was like my favorite player, so I definitely feel you, man.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me go with another football player. This will be my last football player, and then I got to get some other sports involved here. It's rare that a guy in this day and age, I mean, you look at Elvis, right? Elvis was at the top of the world, and he had to go. He got drafted. He had to go. Okay, other than drafting, it's rare that any athlete says, hey, man, I'm going to go serve my country in the peak of my career. But Pat Tillman, who played for the Arizona Cardinals, after 9/11 happened, said, I'm out. This game means nothing. 9/11, I have to go, and died in combat after 9/11. And he also infamously, he was offered more money to go to other teams. And he goes, no, I'm staying here in Arizona for less money. I mean, unreal, dude. Like, you can't even – that is every football coach's dream right there. But really to transcend –
football owners.
Yes, right. They especially love it. But the idea that this guy was, I mean, making a lot of money, right? And he just said, hey, man, there are some things bigger than sports. And after 9/11, he said, this is something that I have to go to. That's unreal, man.
No.
You're not going to hear about this ever again. I can't think.
I mean, technically, you hope you don't.
Right.
Because let's face it, it was born out of tragedy.
True. Yes, true. But you rarely hear any of these dudes going, I mean, it's wild. I mean, will this ever happen again?
I mean, there's not a scenario that I can recall where someone in sports is like, you know, this is more important than all this money, all this fame, and this sport for me to take care of this.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Whether it be anything.
Yeah. But there's a really great documentary about Pat Tillman you can find. I don't know what it's called, but if you type, just search for Pat Tillman documentary, you find out this guy was a good guy. He was kind of a deep dude. I mean, he had thought a lot about stuff. He wasn't like the typical jock out there. He looked like, this dude was cut like a Greek god, but he was a deep thinker as well. And I just think, man, for a long time, people have to look at that and just admire his, what he did for the country. And whatever you think about America, I mean, he did what he thought he was doing right, and you can't beat that. So that's my number 2. All right, John, number 3. I'm keeping it on the board for you. I mean, I'm not going to keep it much longer. So you're up to number 3.
I guess I should make sure to keep them safe, so I'm going to go with Cal Ripken.
All right, there you go. Cal Ripken Jr., of course. I will tell a story before you give us a soliloquy on your favorite player of all time. I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame the year
you and Corey.
My brother-in-law went. There were some Detroit Tigers getting inducted. And let me tell you something. The crowd there is crazy because everyone wants an autograph, and there's tons of people, and they're all – so what happens is it's kind of like a parade. They bring the people down this street, and a lot of them, when they get out, they'll go sign autographs. Some of them just go straight in like, screw this, I ain't signing autographs, which, whatever, I get it. But Cal Ripken. Now, it was a hot day out. It was not 70 degrees. The sun was baking. This guy's in a suit, all right? That dude must have stayed for an hour signing autographs. It was ridiculous. And I said, man, I thought at the time, I said, bro, I don't know what I thought about this guy before today. I mean, I was always a fan of him, but I said, this dude's got all my respect after this. I mean, that was just – I saw Steve McNair do something similar with Titans, but – this crowd was unreal. So that's my thoughts on it. But anyway, what do you love about Cal Ripken?
I love Cal Ripken. I mean, his biggest claim to fame is having the streak of games. He won a World Series with the Orioles back in '83. And again, he's just he was an epitome of his community. He never left the Orioles. He was like, I'm here right or die.
Which is crazy.
Which is, yeah. He played two positions over his career. He started out, and for the majority of career, he was a shortstop, and then he moved over to the third baseman towards the end of his career. But he actually had a passion for basketball. He had built a basketball gym in his house. He loved basketball as well. Yeah, as long as you didn't do anything to impede on his family, then he treated you like a great person. I
mean, there is a big testament to the idea of show up, do your job, if you're healthy, or if you're healthy enough to play. And I think that's a good lesson. I mean, for everyone. I'm not saying, and I want to stress, I'm not saying if you're sick and you have the flu, going to your job, but I'm saying some days you're like, I don't know if I feel like it. This is a guy that said, I'm going to continue to do it. You can't. That streak will never be broken.
No,
I mean, never. And it's a testament to just will, desire, and just a commitment to the game. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, yeah, you get that guy's got to be on every list. There can't be a list without Cal Ripken on it. I mean, he is to me, he is number 2. I mean, there's another baseball guy that's above him, but he is modern day baseball. He's the guy. There's no one above him. I mean, I know Derek Jeter might be on your list, but not yours. But I'm saying the average Joe. But Cal Ripken's it in modern baseball. So yeah, that's of course. All right. I'm gonna go back in time, John. The year
you're gonna say OJ.
No, OJ Simpson, man. He was he showed us how to beat the criminal justice system.
It's not the only thing he did.
We're gonna go back to the 1960s. I don't know if you're familiar with a woman named Wilma Rudolph, John.
Wilma Rudolph.
You ever heard of Wilma Rudolph?
I live in Tennessee. There's no way I can't know.
Right. So Wilma Rudolph was born and had polio at a young age and had to overcome that. Right. So already, if you had polio back in the day, that was not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. You probably weren't gonna. She overcame it.
There's a lot of people can't walk.
Yes.
Polio.
She became, in the 1960s, the fastest woman on the planet. Now, you're like, well, what's the big deal? She was also a black woman and was a big inspiration. Civil rights movement, women's movement, and just She was an Olympic athlete. She was a trailblazer. And I've got to imagine that any girl, black or white, and probably a lot black, that grew up watching this must have had such inspiration from this. You probably can't calculate it. I mean, yeah, us white people, we got Cal Ripken going, yeah, we could get up there and make it. She was saying, hey, it doesn't matter. If you're a black female, do it. Get it. It's the 60s, man. I mean, this stuff was just like not happening. So what she did for the civil rights movement, what she did for just women's rights, and what she just being the fastest woman on the planet, overcoming polio, it's a movie. How have we not made a movie about this? Not a good one. Maybe there is one out there. Someone make a good movie about this woman, Wilma Rudolph. Make it. So there we go. That's my number 3. Wilma Rudolph. All right, John, come up to your last one. Is it going to be another GOAT?
It's going to be someone who's great. I think he's probably one of the best forwards in the history of the game in basketball.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
He played for the Spurs. I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I know who
Tim
it is.
Duncan.
Yeah.
Another person stuck it out with his team the whole 9 yards. Always looked upon. He did a lot in his community.
Oh yeah.
And he just. I mean, if there was a baby face in basketball, I'd say it was him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, he especially that time of the NBA where everyone was just flash, pizzazz. I mean, he was just a.
I mean, he played with Rodman for a little while,
yeah,
and so
he was a consummate gentleman on the court. I mean, really, I'm sure all the big guys got in fights, but maybe he got in one that I remember, But he was just, yeah, man, quiet guy, reserved, showed up to play, was a great player, definitely set a good example for young men that looked up to him. And, yeah, he's one of the greatest. He's probably the greatest forward to ever play the game. I mean, I don't know.
He's up there.
I don't know who you put up against him, And he probably doesn't get enough respect because he probably wasn't as flashy as – picked like you said, Rodman or Allen Iverson or, all those guys that were this guy was just like, get the job done, and that's, respectable. And so much his coaches loved him. So, that's saying a lot. All right. You got anything else to say about it, Mr.
No.
All right, man. We're going to go off the rails on this last one.
Uh-oh.
I already told you, man, I love people that visit sick kids, man. There's one guy that's visited more sick kids than anyone. This guy's broken.
Can we see him?
You can't see him. This guy has broken every
good choice.
Make-A-Wish record on fire. This guy visits so many children, brother.
You can't beat his record at this point.
No, people have done such how is he even doing this? Like, this guy, you know who I'm talking about. And if you're a wrestling fan, and yes, I'm considering wrestling, it is a sport. It is an athletic movement. And John Cena is my last one. This dude, man, number one, just a cool guy off the thing, great athlete and his Make-A-Wish record, like you said, you couldn't break it. If some athletes started at 18 and kept going until their entire career, I don't think they would break it.
Mahomes, try it. You're the youngest big guy
Go
out
for
there.
it.
And we're not saying just, you got to be on the list. So you got to be on the top of your game. That's why I don't think it's going to be beat.
Well, yeah, because these kids are requesting John Cena. They're still requesting him today. This man hasn't wrestled.
What, 6 years?
Yes. He is in Hollywood and Peacemaker and all that, but he sent genuinely, this was my biggest thing. I hated John Cena, the character, because he was bland. He was kind of for kids. But I always said, you cannot discredit John Cena, the man. He seems like a stand-up guy. He's a guy that just is a great example for people. Has he probably done bad things? I don't know. But anything he's done, you do the scales, the Make-A-Wish, it's over.
Yeah.
This is a guy that really, if he got arrested for DUI tomorrow, I think people would be like, all right, man. We're not applauding this, but I think, you visited more sick kids and brought them hope, man. Think about that. You got to think about him and like Russell Wilson. These kids are dying, man.
Yeah.
So you have to emotionally go in, unpack that on your back,
You mentioned Richard Simmons before the
we're talking about Richard
show,
Simmons,
that's got to be a weight. because you're going in knowing
Yeah.
this knowledge is on your mind
Oh yeah.
that this kid is dying, and he doesn't want anything else in the world
Just to meet
but to meet you.
John Cena, right? I mean, because to them, he's a superhero to them. Like they
Yeah.
look at this guy. This is a larger than life guy. And you're right. There is a gift to that, though. I think there's a gift. Like, that's why not everyone does it. But there's a gift to being able to empathize with a person, set aside they're sick, still recognize it in the back of your head, and treat them like a human being, and then leave there, and it probably sticks with them forever. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, you're seeing this. So, anyways,
I mean,
God bless you, John
when
Cena.
watching wrestling clips, like the one that always gets me, they had this thing where it was a cure for Connor or something. There's a little kid named
Connor's
Connor,
Cure, yeah.
and he had a terminal illness, and I mean, I can't watch that clip,
Yeah, it's a
It's
little
so
Yeah,
sad.
it was sad,
and
man.
that's the separation of a TV screen.
Right.
I mean, this guy is going into these hospitals,
He's with these people. Yeah, once again,
hugging these kids,
let's stress,
playing with them.
he's not there for 2 minutes.
No, he's
These
spending time
These
with
people like
them.
him, Russell Wilson, they're spending time with these kids, you
Yeah.
know. Oh, God bless them. All right. Let's we'll go over the list, and then real quick we'll go over who we didn't get to. So John had Wayne Gretzky, Joe Montana, Cal Ripken Jr., Tim Duncan. I had Russell Wilson, Pat Tillman, Wilma Rudolph, and John Cena. Now I'm upset that I didn't get Jackie Robinson, who I would probably think is the ultimate baseball role model. Muhammad Ali was another good one. What he did for the black community, what he did for boxing in general. I had Bethany Hamilton, who's a surfer who lost her
Her arm.
and she does a lot of work with the amputees today, which are great. J.J. Watt's a great guy.
Yeah.
Who does a lot of donation charity. Simone Biles is a great one. Jim Abbott, baseball player, I wanted to put on there, I just couldn't, but he was a pitcher who only had one arm and pitched in the big leagues, and that had inspired kids with disabilities all across the globe. So anybody?
Mary Lou Retton.
Yeah, she's good.
John Stockton's always he's a big favorite of mine.
Dirty elbows, man. Dirty elbows.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's true. I mean, it's dirty elbows, but it's all good.
J.J. Watts was a big one that I was thinking of.
Yeah, he's probably the modern. He does a lot for his community and charities. It's fantastic. So.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Well, let us know who makes your list of greatest role model athletes of all time. That's ours. And we come up to the end of the program. Hey, you see at the bottom there, our friend Josh Baker has music out right now, Bandcamp, JosueFlorida.com, JOSUE Florida.bandcamp.com. Go check that out. If you're watching live, go check it out. He's got 2 tracks up there. I love them. I've listened to him probably 100 times. Been texting him a lot about him, but really good stuff. So he's a friend of ours. Go check that out. Go support him. And apparently, I did hear it right. I don't know if 75 people bought the tracks yet, but at the time, if you get the 2 tracks, which is only less than $3, and you send him a message, he'll Venmo you $4 back. Now, I mean, you'd have to be kind of a creep to request this, but I mean, if you have no soul and you want to make a few dollars and get some good music, there you go. So JosueFlorida.bandcamp.com. There you go. All right, well, John, we have come up to the end. As always, go check out our website, bybpod.com. There's stuff up there, merchandise, past episodes, social media, all those good things. Go out and be a good role model this week. And with all that being said, John, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.